Hi, today I'm going to tell you about the so-called narrative tenses, and these are simply past tenses. And the name for these tenses, for this group of tenses, is very simple. Usually, these tenses you use to describe a story. And I'm not talking here about the situation when you tell something about the plot in a book, for which we usually present tense, like for example, this is a film about a woman who works for a bank and suddenly she finds her husband who is dead, for example. Sorry for the example, I know it's a bit dramatic, but you know, this is how it usually goes in movies. I'm talking about the situations in books, for example, in short stories, in all the moments where you need to describe the order of activities in a piece of writing, for example. So we are talking about past tenses, and we have 4 past tenses. I'm going to tell you about how to use these tenses and what things are described in stories, but I'm going to skip the technical matter, so I'm not going to tell you about how to make sentences in these tenses, because I've already talked about these things in other movies about past tenses. So let's start with the past simple. Past simple is the tense that tells you about activities that happened and finished in the past. So in our stories, we usually use this tense to describe main events in our story. For example, she came in, she said. Another tense is the past continuous. The past continuous tense is the tense that tells you about the situations, the states, activities that were not finished, were not done at a particular moment in the past. For example, I was drinking cola. And in our stories, this tense tells you about the background activities. Well, I can say the background only. In our stories, for example, the day was sunny, the birds were singing, and everyone was happy, and suddenly she came in. So the second part, of course, main event in the story, so I changed the tense, it was past simple. We have also 2 past perfect tenses, so past perfect simple and past perfect continuous. Both of them tell us about the activities, states that happened in the past, but earlier than main events in our stories. And to indicate the situation that was finished and then happened another one, the main events in our stories, we usually use the past perfect simple, and to emphasize the length or to show that this activity took a bit longer in the past, we use, of course, the past perfect continuous.